Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am Julie Rousseau, head of York House School, and
I'm Courtney Cousineau, class of 1999 and current president of the Alumnae Association.
Wow, thank you so much for joining us here today. What a beautiful fall day in Vancouver, isn't it, Courtney?
It really is. I think we're so lucky that it's not raining. The light is streaming into this beautiful new facility. We're surrounded by all sorts of fall foliage, and it's going to be a good day.
Excellent. And we hope that it's a beautiful day wherever it is that you are joining us from today. I do want to encourage you to please follow us on Instagram, on Twitter and Facebook, where we will be sharing highlights from today's program. And of course, we'd love to hear from you as we go along. So please join in. Welcome, everyone. We are so delighted to have you join us today for what is actually a very first in history of virtual Alumni Day. And this year, we also invited many people. We want to thank alumni from around the world who are joining us today. We also want to welcome our grads of 2021 who are joining us. And I also want to give a warm welcome and a thank you to our very generous donors, members of our community who made this amazing space possible. And we're joining you here live from our new STEAM Lab edition in the senior school. I mean, it's a really great space, isn't it, Courtney?
This really is an exciting learning space. Everything from the tools behind us to the laser cut printer in the other room there. I really look forward to hearing a little bit more about what it's all about.
Well, we've got quite a lineup for everyone today. And as you know, our theme for today's Alumni Day is all about STEAM and exploration. And you know what the letters STEAM stand for?
Okay, I could definitely use a refresher.
Okay, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And STEAM is kind of like the merge of all of those disciplines that allow our girls here in this space with all of the resources and the tools to explore issues and problems and to find solutions to those problems. So you're going to learn a little bit more about our amazing new STEAM lab because we have a great lineup of speakers who will speak to the importance of STEAM and exploration.
Well, and I certainly can't wait to hear from them. And I think that you will too.
Absolutely. This is kind of like a different year though, isn't it?
It really is. It's a unique year. It's an exciting year, but it's definitely a little different. And while we can't gather in person like we would normally here on Alumni Day in the school and have the tours and have the talks, we have found new and creative ways to connect with our alumni around the world. Speaking of which, I think we have a few special messages from our alumni around the network that we might share with some of you. Should we have a look?
I think we should. Let's take a look.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. My name is FONDA and I graduated from York House School in 2014. I recently just got back to Canada after living abroad in Europe for a couple months in Brussels. And even though it's super beautiful and really interesting, I'm definitely happy to be back in Canada. So that being said, I'm sending everyone really big hugs from Vancouver on this Alumni Day. Have a great day.
Hi everyone, my name is CHANTAL Barnes, formerly known as CHANTAL RANKIN, and I was head girl at York House School 1991, a long time ago. I am now based in New Zealand, and that's the sea right beside me on the South Island. After spending the last 20 years traveling all over the globe, I've been very, very fortunate to have worked and traveled and seen about 80 countries so far with my husband. I have 2 children and we're loving being here in New Zealand at this time. I'm wishing everyone a very happy Alumni Day on October 3rd. Loved that I went to York House growing up and couldn't think of a better place to be. So I wish you all very well. My love from New Zealand. Bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny Chu. I graduated in 2005, currently based in Shanghai, China right now. Don't know if you guys can see the view from behind, but it's the iconic Bund view. Just wanted to give a quick shout out. Hope everyone is safe and sane and healthy during this weird period of time right now. It's a great chance that we can all connect virtually on this call today. But if you are ever in Shanghai in the near future, please do let me know. Would love to take you out. Stay in touch and have fun today.
My name is Alex Lammy, class of 2011. I'm currently here in Dublin, Ireland as a second-year medical student, and my wish for everybody on Alumni Day is to remember to have fun.
I am Jane Hodgins Battle, and I graduated in 1956, and I graduated from UBC in 1960. I'm living and have lived in Washington, D.C. for the past 40 years, and I'm here to wish you all a happy Alumni Day.
Happy Alumni Day, everyone. My name is HELEN CASSIE, and I'm a graduate of 2016, and I'm coming to you from Ottawa. And I just want to wish everyone an amazing Alumni Day. It's an awesome opportunity to think of all the women who have come before us and who will come after us, and especially during this time. It's just an amazing community to be a part of. So stay safe and happy Alumni Day.
Such amazing messages from our alumni around the world. And I think we have a few more to share with you a little later this morning.
I can't wait. But in the meantime, it is now my pleasure to share a brief message from our board chair, Michelle Ostro, class of 1989, and the second alumna chair, board chair at York House School since Diana Cliff Mond from the class of 1970. Let's hear from our new board chair, Michelle.
Hello everyone. As Julie mentioned, my name is Michelle Ostro. I'm an alum and the new chair of the board. I'm so happy all of you are able to join us today on this very unique virtual Alumni Day. While COVID-19 has created a lot of chaos in our lives, it has also pushed us to look at issues in different ways and create new paths for connecting. Thanks to our new STEAM lab, our students now have the opportunity to challenge themselves on a regular basis. This amazing new space brings out some of the best elements of York House: depth in education, creativity, and giving students room to explore their strengths. It is an incredible addition to the school, and I'm so excited to see where it will take our students. Thank you once again for taking the time to reconnect with the school. It remains, as it has always been, a small and caring place that pushes students to achieve their best. Enjoy listening to our amazing speakers today.
Thank you, Michelle. It's so nice to hear all of these warm greetings from everyone, to hear from our alumna, our board chair. And Courtney and I find ourselves here. This is, COVID has thrown a lot of people for a loop, but here we are, physically distanced. Our masks are put away. And we certainly hope, wherever you are, that you have been safe, that you've been healthy, and that and things are going well for you as well. It's really a privilege for us to have you join us here today in this space. And I think that maybe I want to ask you, what do you think of this new STEAM space, Courtney?
Well, I've been in this space a few times now, and I've had a chance to look around and try to figure out what it was when I was here, what I would have been playing with the most. And I feel for my parents, or perhaps my parents are grateful that I didn't bring home all the things I would have built in the 3D printer and with the laser cutter, and really had a good time learning in this space. So it is a unique space, that's for sure.
Well, it certainly is. It's a really hands-on space, as you can see with all the tools that are here. We have an amazing digital media lab next to us, but you'll get to see that. And I'm sure that this new space has piqued some of your curiosity out there. And we put together a short video which will tell you a little bit more about all of the wonderful learning experiences that are going to happen right here. This is a space right at the front of the senior school. It kind of feels like it was always meant to be here, doesn't it?
It does. You walk up and it just is part of the building. They've done a wonderful job of really making it part of York House.
Well, we can't wait for you to see it in person. But in the meantime, why don't you check out this little video we put together for you?
We are so excited about our new STEAM lab. So in launching this space, some of our alumni have said, I wish we had this space when we were here. Our girls are so fortunate to have a place where they have access to all the tools they need. 3D printers, laser cutters, soldering station, all the tools you see behind me. The STEAM lab is a place where science, technology, engineering, arts, and math merge together. And right here, our girls are at the center of their learning. They have an opportunity to explore problems, research, come up with solutions, ideate, prototype, and they have at their disposal all of the tools necessary to make that come to life.
The new STEAM lab has an open design, and the tools on the back wall are laid out for you to see.
The new lab allows me to explore my interests as I have access to modern technology such as laser cutters and 3D printers.
And with all the technology that we have here, there's really a lot of opportunity to, create whatever you would like. STEAM education is so important because it provides students with the opportunity to explore the world from the perspective of all their different subjects at the same time, and to use that knowledge that they gain to find solutions to real-world problems.
What excites me most about working in the STEAM lab this year is the environment we're given to learn in and how we feel really, really comfortable. I'm also really excited to get my hands in on some challenges because I find when there's a challenge involved with what you're about to build, it makes it so much more interesting and you can really delve into what you're learning and what you're creating.
I'm making a prototype of a cardboard chair. I've been sawing cardboard cylinders and I've sawed them into 1.5 feet pieces. I've been using drill to drill holes so I could string through a thin piece of rope to hold it together.
What excites me about this new STEAM lab is all the opportunities and resources that we are presented with to make anything that we imagine.
This space is going to provide exceptional learning experiences for our girls now and well into the future. I want to take this opportunity to thank our community, our generous donors, for making this space a possibility. Thank you.
Well, I certainly hope you enjoyed that video. And just to show you how powerful having a space like this is, our next video is an interview we did with Manpreet Deol, our Rhodes Scholar from the class of 2015. We are just so proud of Manpreet and all that she has done. She's accomplished while studying engineering at the University of Calgary. And Manpreet, as I said, is now our very first Rhodes Scholar, and she is about to embark on a very exciting learning journey at Oxford.
That's amazing. And she had a chance to be here in this space and see it before she left, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see she came to the school, she looked at the space, she gave us feedback. She was so excited. And we are thrilled to present to you our little video and Manpreet's insights on what a space like this would mean for our Yorkies.
My name is Manpreet Deol. I graduated in 2015 from York House, and I just recently finished up my engineering undergraduate degree at the University of Calgary. I took mechanical engineering with a focus on biomedical engineering, and I'll be headed off to graduate school in a few days. Yeah, so I'll be headed off to the University of Oxford in a few days to start my master's degree in social science of the internet. So focused on how technology can be made more ethical, how algorithmically mediated systems and AI, so artificial intelligence, can be more inclusive for all individuals, all marginalized communities, all genders, and especially people with disabilities as well. So as these systems become more prevalent, as technology takes over, we have to ensure that these systems are inclusive of everyone. So that's what I hope to study abroad. I know I had known about the Rhodes Scholarship, but the nature of the odds and actually winning it, that's a whole other situation. So it's always on my vision board, but you can't think too much of it because there's just so many incredible people out there. So it's definitely very surreal, and I still have to pinch myself to tell myself that yes, I get to enjoy this next experience because it still doesn't feel real in many regards. I'm honestly incredibly excited to go over there. Not only to study in a place that's where Harry Potter was filmed, so I'll be at Hogwarts, and that to me is incredibly exciting. But I think just to be around some incredible peers, I think the Rhodes community, in a sense, is a lot like the York House community in that it's global. It's full of these amazing and insightful and inclusive individuals all across the world, and then to be able to network with some of those educators, those peers, and those teachers and leaders. I think that's incredibly exciting for me, and then to further hone my own academic skills and leadership skills as well. So those are some of the things I'm most looking forward to. Well, I was completely envious when I saw the space because I know I echo the sentiment of so many of my Yorkie alumna peers because this space is just so fabulous. I think it really supports and encourages the ability to design and tinker and build and use your hands to actually design something. And I think I am reminded of so many long nights spent with my friends in the physics classroom, building contraptions for the Physics Olympics competitions, or even some of my friends who were part of the drama team who were building stage props and sets. So I think it's really this multi-purpose space that has opportunities not just for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but also the arts and humanities. So it is exciting to see this space, and it's exciting to see that it will be an area for young females in particular to be able to explore in a way that they don't have to face and fear judgment, and also face some of the gender discrimination that exists in some of these fields. So this is a very safe space, and I think it's a great way to ignite that spark in future engineers and future innovators and future designers to come. Yeah, to me, experiential learning was kind of the forefront of what I was able to do. You know, the ability to ask questions in the classroom to guide your own learning. I think it was just emphasized in a fabulous way. In addition, I think being challenged to think boldly outside of, you know, the curriculum and outside of the studies, just to ask your own questions and formulate your own questions about the world. So that inquiry-based learning as well. And then I think time management is something that I was able to hone, and I know it's like a lifelong skill that I've been able to use all throughout university, but just being part of sports teams, part of the senior concert band, in addition to taking rigorous academic courses, I was able to really start to formulate some of those skills which are ever prevalent in today's society. I think the first thing would just be to breathe. I think we expect so much of ourselves, and we, you know, want everything to be lined up perfectly. We want to be involved in everything, and we want to perform in everything to, you know, a very excellent extent. And yes, that will happen, but I think first and foremost, it's important to center yourself and know that it's okay to not feel okay sometimes, and know that it's okay that, you know, the world is uncertain around us, so it's okay to feel some of that inside. So just breathe and take it easy, and things fall into place when you find out what you're passionate about, when you find out what makes you tick, and when you find a good group of friends that will support you. So I think breathe first. It's okay not to feel okay, and really look for those friends that are going to support you and be there for you on the good days where things are going great, but then also on the bad days when maybe things aren't going so well. If you take each day as it comes and, you know, continue to work hard, amazing things happen.
Thank you, Manpreet. Oh my goodness, quite an inspiring testimonial from Manpreet. Thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. We're hearing from some of our alumni right now. We've heard from Jillian Smith, class of '81. Hi, Jillian. Thank you for saying hello to us and for tuning in. And we also know that some of our alumni are out supervising sports events with their children. Hi, Golnaz, class of '96. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed Manpreet's interview with us. What did you think, Courtney, about Manpreet?
You know, I was really appreciative of her advice to breathe. I think that, you know, when remembering, even when hosting live Zoom events, we have to remember to breathe. And it's very important. And so I am very appreciative of that little bit of advice. And from one Harry Potter fan to another, I'm more of a Hufflepuff to her Gryffindor, but you know, we'll make a good partnership. And I can't wait to see what Manpreet gets up to with her studies at Oxford. And I think that this segues fairly perfectly into our next segment, because Manpreet shared with us a short story that when she heard that Roberta Bondar was going to be here virtually for our Alumni Day.
Yeah, you know what? When Manpreet heard that Dr. Roberta Bondar was joining us, she actually wrote to us and she said, "I still remember my grade 5 hero project. I chose to write and speak about Dr. Roberta Bondar. And when I read your email this morning," says Manpreet, "I had to reread and process it. This is absolutely incredible," she says, 3 exclamation points. "York House comes full circle for me." Isn't that exciting?
It really is.
It makes, you know, it's a very important day for us. And I think you have someone to introduce.
I do. So now it is our pleasure to give you an introduction from alumna of the class of 1983, Geraldine Santiago, who will be followed by a special keynote presentation by Dr. Roberta Bondar.
I'm Geraldine Santiago and attended York House from 1979 to 1983. In 2017, in honor of Canada's 150th anniversary, I wrote and illustrated a children's picture book entitled Louisa and the Magic Star. This book also celebrated Canadian contributions to space exploration, with Dr. Roberta Bondar, the first Canadian female astronaut and neurologist to travel to space, making a cameo appearance in the book. Strong, relatable female characters to break stereotypes and gender boundaries were purposely included to inspire the next generation of children to embrace science and space exploration. I'm thrilled to be a part of Alumni Day to celebrate the launching of the new STEAM Lab at York House, which I know will give Yorkies incredible opportunities to explore and draw upon the integration of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics in this wonderful new space. It is my honor to introduce our Alumni Day 2020 guest speaker, Dr. Roberta Bondar. Dr. Bondar is the first Canadian female astronaut and the world's first neurologist to travel to space. As an astronaut, physician, scientific researcher, photographer, author, and more, Dr. Bondar has a great depth of experiences to share with us at the launch of the new STEAM Lab in this extraordinary time of COVID-19. Her distinctions are many and include Companion of the Order of Canada, the Order of Ontario, the NASA Space Medal, induction into the Canadian Medical Hall of Fame, and into the International Women's Hall of Fame, 28 honorary doctorates from Canadian and American universities, Chancellor of Trent University from 2003 to 2009, 6 Canadian schools in her name, a specially elected Fellow of the Royal Society of Canada, an Honorary Fellow and Honorary Vice President of the Royal Canadian Geographical Society, and her own star on Canada's Walk of Fame. We are absolutely thrilled to have Dr. Bondar with us on Alumni Day to share some of her diverse experiences with the York House School community.
What a truly amazing Canadian icon. Now, I hear you had an opportunity to speak to Dr. Bondar.
My goodness, Courtney, I cannot even begin to tell you what a treasured moment that was. She granted us an interview. It wasn't in person, it was virtual, but my goodness, she was so generous with her time, so candid, and her reflections were truly remarkable. And I do want to thank Geraldine for her connections and for making this amazing opportunity possible for us to get to speak to Dr. Roberta Bondar. It was a fantastic interview. I'm so excited about it still. And instead of talking about it, how about we just show it?
Oh, I would love that.
Right? Well, here we go. Let's take a look. Well, thank you very much, Geraldine, for introducing our honored guest, Dr. Roberta Bondar. Welcome, Dr. Bondar.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
And I know that I speak on behalf of our York House School community, our alumna, our students, the entire community when I express our deepest gratitude for you joining us today. How have you been keeping during this time of COVID?
Well, I was able to fix up my sound studio, which is where I'm speaking to you from. It was one of those things that I guess if COVID hadn't happened, it wouldn't have been as high as it was on my list of things to do. So it was a nice challenge to face. And given my age, I kind of don't go out very much, but I'm quite happy with the kind of setting that I can work in and working with schools. It's very fortunate that way.
Well, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to connect with us. And I'm so thrilled to have an opportunity to speak to you today. We're building on the success of our STEAM program at the junior school, and we're so excited to expand our STEAM program at the senior school now with a brand new space that just opened up this fall. And we look forward to empowering our girls to be curious, to explore the world, to view the world through different lenses. And Dr. Bondar, you've spoken before about the importance of seeing the world through fresh eyes, because I viewed a couple of interviews you've done, and you talk about the importance of having fresh eyes and viewing the world with a new vision. And it's evident that you have done so, and you've had many creative lenses, one of a medical doctor, a scientist, an accomplished photographer, an astronaut, a best-selling author, and a passionate advocate for the environment. So my first question to you, Dr. Bondar, is, as an explorer of space, the human body, of our planet? How important is exploration to the survival of our planet and our species?
Well, for certain, as you mentioned at the outset, curiosity is key to everything. And I think that if we didn't have exploration, the basic soul of human beings, that is to be curious, would never be satisfied. Exploration provides us with so many opportunities, so that the world is not a stagnant place. It provides us many opportunities to try to make the world a better place. And I do feel that every generation should want that in its heart and in its soul. And so exploration is a way we have of moving outwards. And sometimes it's with great risk, sometimes it's with moderate risk, and sometimes it's facing an unknown where we have no idea what the risks are, but we know we have to embrace it, such as in these COVID times.
You're absolutely right. And you've talked about embracing that risk and being excited about exploring our world. I've heard you say before, you don't have to be an astronaut to explore the earth that you live on. Is that correct?
Oh yes, I mean how many times people go out of the side in the morning, out of a building, and realize that they're on a planet. I mean, very few people do that. You probably think you're quite odd if you do that, but seriously, we are on a planet. And I guess the one thing of going into space is to actually see it as a planet. And we have to remember all the time that we won't get off this planet. Even as astronauts, we go around the Earth and then come back, or we go to the moon soon and come back. So Earth is our home, and although we explore other places, it's always a home that we like coming back to, and one that we can count on, that will provide us with all the things that we need to live a good life.
Never more than ever do we realize what a global community we are as with this global pandemic. So you're absolutely right. We need to be grounded and remember that we need to take care of this beautiful planet that we live on. You've shared that your space experience as a crew member aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery in 1992 left you with a whole new view of science and yourself and the future of the planet Earth. Can you share with us how this has changed your view of the planet?
There's no question that everyone goes into space with his or her own value systems from living on the Earth, and the kinds of things that we grew up with, kinds of things that are important to us, whether it's an ethical responsibility of the planet, or whether it's looking for a black hole from a spacecraft, which of course we wouldn't be able to see. But nonetheless, it's the idea that we want to progress and we want to see something different. We shouldn't go up into space with a closed mind, first of all. We shouldn't go into space unprepared. I think everybody can figure that one out. And I don't think we should go into space unless we know that we're going to come back with a different feeling or a different view. One has to be quite open to new ideas, and to go up with a mindset that's fixed means that one is not able to really see what one can see. And I don't mean just the Earth. It's the ability to have some inner sight that we usually refer to as insight, some inner sight that allows us to be different and to take that experience and try to inspire other people to share some of those same feelings, or at least some of the outcomes.
I'm so glad you spoke about this mindset that we should have. As a head of school, I always talk to our girls about this notion of growth mindset, which you just referred to, this notion of being curious and the notion of yes and, as opposed to no but.
Correct.
How have you used that? How have you been an advocate of growth mindset in your own life?
It's one thing to have taken a number of studies at university, as I have. I don't have to go into which ones they are, but basically I tried to have a well-rounded education. And I think one of the opportunities that we're all given is the ability to read. Hopefully people are literate and can read. And a desire to read, a desire to be informed. So that growth occurs on a daily basis. It should be minute to minute if you had the time, you could be awake long enough. The idea not to be the same, because we do change. The idea to know that there are things out there that you'll probably never get to in one's lifetime, but you should at least try to get somewhere. There are many things that I wish I could have done in my life so far. We're still working on a few, but I know there are things that I can't do now that probably 30 years ago I might have been able to do, but then I wouldn't have done these other things. When we talk about growth and our minds, we should always think that there is potential for us to grow. It's not just people who are in their early 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and I keep going up in age. Some people will identify with me and some won't till much later. But I think we shortchange people who are in their 80s, 90s, and even people who are in 100, that they're incapable of learning new things, that they're incapable of growing, because they're not. And I do feel that apart from some neurological issues that people may face in terms of some thinking, we still have the power to grow. And I think that's a wonderful trait that we have as human beings, and one that we should not overlook.
Well, thank you for reminding us of that learning happens, and that we should set our minds to continue to expand our growth, even from a young age to well into our adulthood. So thank you for that reminder. And I'm going to ask you to go back in time. I know you shared at one point when you were a young girl thinking about space exploration, and you shared that you didn't limit yourself. You actually were a little bit naive about all of the technical difficulties it could take to go all the way out to space, but you had a dream. And I want to share with you a question from one of our students, Serenius, in grade 8, who also has a dream. And her question is, I'm pretty interested in STEAM, in engineering and architecture. So do you have any tips for pursuing a career related to engineering and STEAM for a girl teen?
Well, that's like 4 questions in one.
Great ones, right?
That's pretty good. So when I'm thinking about advice to give other people, it's basically not just on what I've done, because I've done things in a period of my life when the world was a little different. But I'm also thinking about some of the new opportunities that we have, but also some of the same problems that we still have now that we had when I was growing up. There are newer ones, of course, and ones that are to be embraced, and new methods of learning things, and new pieces of knowledge that we can put together. So I think that one thing I'd say is that I would give the same kind of advice if it was a male or female, but the additional information that I would give a female would be, because I think boys and men seem to have this a little more for some reason, is to know that a support group is extremely important. And the support group can change and fluctuate all one's life, and one also becomes part of someone else's support group or several people's support group. But the idea of pursuing something that you have a passion for, not because it's got a letter that stands for it, whether it's S, T, E, A, or M, but you have a passion for it. You can have a passion for an uppercase T and a lowercase e, or a passion for all 4 or 5 letters, or even put an extra letter in for yourself. These are things that we understand that if we don't have the heart and soul to follow the hard times, because there are hard times in any field of endeavor, then we won't have the strength and determination to follow through with the best of our ability. So I'd say first and foremost, my advice into anything would be to understand yourself and to really know yourself, then have a support group that's going to give you some information to help you get along that path. You don't need naysayers, you need positive reinforcement, and don't get down because somebody has said some negative thing. You find somebody that's going to say some positive thing. Align yourself with positive thinkers, and that's the advice I'd give.
That's phenomenal advice. Thank you very much. And I really like your concept of adding another letter, or making the S capital or the M a capital. I really like that concept, and I think that you as a person have embraced that. Perhaps you added so many letters to your career throughout this all of the contributions that you've offered us. And I guess this leads me to a question from Maggie in grade 9, who asks, as the first Canadian female astronaut, first neurologist in space, an accomplished photographer, and a steward of the environment, which are all remarkable accomplishments, she asks, which one are you most proud of?
I don't really have to think very long on that one, because the one I'm most proud of allowed me to do the other things. So I'm most proud of being a physician. Yes, I'm a scientist and was a scientist before I went into clinical medicine, but I did research after getting my MD degree and my internship and my residency and my specialist training in neurology. They were things that I built on my career. So I built on various levels and became more narrowly focused. And then when the space program came along, and I'd always wanted to be a spaceman, I was able to push the envelope by broadening my horizon again, by taking some of the focus that I had and taking the skill set from it and the expertise that I developed and moving it outwards again. So without having that, having these narrow focuses that I had of this learning in very disciplined way, I would not be able to have embraced the total view that I had to have, the idea that I could learn a lot of engineering things when that was not my background, or I was able to be very flexible in some of the things. So the diversity that I have had, I would say that of all of the things I've done, medicine is the thing that I cherish the most. I've been able to recover a friend's life many times over. Was able to recover my mother's life, was able to recover my father's life. And these are the things that you don't forget as a human being, to have that responsibility and to be able to discharge it ethically in a manner that really helps other people. That's the kind of thing that means the most to me. Being a spaceman, being an astronaut, it was something that I built on from my background in medicine and my medical research abilities. So it seems like cut and dry sometimes, but it's not. They were folded together. But if I had to parse it out again, I wouldn't even hesitate that medicine is the one thing that I would never give up in my life. Going to space was great, and everyone think, well, why would she give up going to space? Well, I consider other people's lives just as important as my own desire and vision to experience space.
It's so interesting that you talk about vision, and you were just talking about zooming in and zooming out as we're talking about this.
We like lenses. We like lenses, right?
We're like
a prime lens or a zoom lens.
Exactly. And we always talk to our students, to our girls, about focusing on a passion, but it appears that through you focusing on your passion and then zooming out, other opportunities became available to you, and you didn't hold back on those passions.
That's right. I mean, I firmly believe that when we study art, or we study, and people separate these things, but I feel there's such a continuum. But if we look at subjects that are traditionally in the arts and ones that are traditionally in science or technology, applied science, we think about having to come down and saying, what are you going to specialize in? Then what are you going to subspecialize in? But if you can't bring that back, and look at some overall thing, then you're probably not going to be as successful or as creative. You're going to be in this one small area. It's very important. I mean, I know that we don't have a lot of time here, but there is a gentleman that I know from my hometown, and his sister is a very, very famous neurologist in terms of cognitive function in Toronto and worldwide. And he is a neurosurgeon, retired now. His mother taught them to play the piano, and at her funeral, the son was standing there, and he said, and I will never forget it, he said, when my mother was teaching me Beethoven and I was playing on the piano, he said, she wasn't teaching me fine finger movements so I could be a neurosurgeon. She was teaching me discipline. Mm-hmm. So we learn things, matter if it's STEAM, whatever, we learn things not just because we're directly focused on those things, but if we have a wider worldview, we can bring all these other things in to provide us that strength and support to make us even better at what we think we're doing than what people realize that we can do.
Such wise words. And to segue into what you just spoke about, Dr. Bondar, about having a world view, in your TED talk in 2011, you spoke about the need for people to embrace the uncertainty of change. And as you know, COVID-19 has certainly created a new level of uncertainty. So what possibilities do you think have been born as a result of living through a global pandemic?
Wow, a lot. I mean, I think when I sit and really try to think about and answer that kind of question, there are so many levels. I mean, not the least of which is that people have had more time to themselves, more time to learn about themselves, more time to learn about their relationships with other people, more time to look at the frailty of our society when we look at the kinds of individuals who've really suffered in this past year in terms of the elderly. We look at the fact that we are not a perfect society, but we need to keep trying, that we are a very fragile society in terms of our economics, that we learn that great big institutions go bankrupt because suddenly they don't have a cash flow, the same as some corner store that doesn't either. We learn a bit more about how we need to get along and how in the long run that we need to have more respect for the kinds of daily work that each of us does. And that's just even setting aside all the healthcare workers that have been on the front lines, the ministries of health, the people who are trying hard in this country to keep us alive, to keep our society somehow inspired and so that we can get through this. And now with the second wave, we also have to remember what happened during the first wave. And if we don't learn from those things, if we don't assign new types of structures, then we will fail. So I think the COVID time has really put us into a state of reflection, at the same time, a state of somewhat panic for people, and a time when we've been very challenged. I think for women, it's been very difficult, especially lower income women who have been working but now have to take care of children. It's things that are set back in some ways, and we have to take the time to understand that our society is made with all of us, not just the people who have the resources in terms of money and wealth to do things, but the people that fall away from our society that could be the next prime minister, or could be the next doctor, or could be the anesthetist that gets you in 15 years or 20 years or 30, however old you are. The idea that we don't protect other people in our society, I think, is probably one of the biggest lessons that we have learned, should have learned through COVID. And the rest of it falls into place, I believe.
Thank you so much. Those are remarkable reflections, and it leads us to really think and think of the responsibility we have to ourselves, the responsibility we have to others, the responsibility we have to the planet. I know you've been such a great advocate and passionate about the environment. And my last question for you, Dr. Bondar, is what are you most hopeful for our planet?
Well, the thing that gives me the most hope is that there are people on it that have good hearts and have good thoughts and are trying their best to try to move society in a reasonable, ethical manner in terms of the environment, for example, that we're able to get along with other life forms, that we don't use up the biodiversity on this planet or impair it in some way. One of the things that I think the COVID times should be teaching us is that science is something that we cannot overlook. If it wasn't for science, we would have no idea about a virus. If it wasn't for epidemiology, we wouldn't be able to study any of these things. If it wasn't for public health. So I think that there's a new understanding of how important this is to us. We have seen in other countries people who don't believe in vaccines, who don't believe in the kinds of things that are obvious to the rest of us who do understand science, that we wear face masks and we stay a distance away so that we try to keep ourselves and other people safe. All of those things, I'm hopeful for the planet that it'll be more the people who are I think, well-grounded. I'm trying to choose my words carefully here because I don't want to offend anybody, but people who actually think, people who don't just react and hear something and juice their own opinion up of something else. So that if you hear someone saying, oh, it's a vaccine and you shouldn't give vaccines because it'll give you this or give you that, without any scientific proof, then you endanger the whole of society. And those are kind of irresponsible things. So I do hope for the planet that people will take a much more considered approach, and people will try to encourage others to at least have some understanding and respect for the kinds of things science does give us. Otherwise, if we went for vaccines, we'd be back in the days of smallpox running rampant, and those are times that hopefully will be historical times and not ones of future times.
Well, it certainly has been a time of learning for all of us, and we are most grateful for the time that you have given us today. Dr. Bondar, thank you so much. You've given us such great advice, and we certainly appreciate taking a moment to see the world through your eyes, through your experience, your knowledge, and certainly your wisdom. And on behalf of the entire York House community, I thank you for joining us today. We wish you continued success as you explore many facets of this amazing earth, and we thank you for your global contributions to science, to environmental education, and to your contributions to Canadian history. And we certainly thank you for being such an incredible inspiration for us all.
Well, thank you, and stay engaged, stay enlightened, keep enlightening, stay well, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. We wish you all the best as well, and you stay safe as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Bondar.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Wow.
What an incredible interview.
Was that not something else?
What was it like to interview Dr. Bondar?
Well, actually, it was surreal, to tell you the truth. I was quite nervous to interview her, but you know, she really put me at ease. She's such an authentic person, very candid, and I just loved her insights. In fact, when she was talking about growth mindset, about our girls and this notion of sometimes zooming in on something that you're really passionate about, but also making sure that you zoom out, right? And she talked also about, I really like when she said, whether you're a capital S for science, maybe you're really passionate about science, or maybe you're passionate about engineering or math, all of those are really important. So I was really, really impressed with her insights, with her wisdom. And when she shared with us this really powerful statement, which I think applies to all of us, no matter what age, she said, we can always continue to explore and grow and expand our minds, no matter how old we are. So thank you so much, Dr. Bondar, for the privilege and for offering your insights to us at York House School. Now, I wanted to share that we have some people who have connected with us as well. We've heard from Adora Wong, who's been joining us. She's from the class of 2010. She's a violinist, and she said, Courtney, that she's played in the National Arts Center recording and premiere of Bondar Sphere in 2016, and she said that Dr. Bondar is indeed a remarkable woman. Thank you so much for sharing, Adora. We certainly do agree with you. A little bit, we also got a little hello from Susila Bryant from class of 1962. Susila, we're so pleased that you're joining us today. Thank you for joining us. And also we heard from Barbie Hislop, class of 1972, who is saying she is loving it and she's truly impressed by Dr. Roberta Bondar. So thank you for sending us those wishes. I think you have something too.
I do. I'm super happy that we heard from Kristen Armstrong from the class of 2000, who is loving our Zoom events and loving this opportunity for us to connect across the network and across this new digital channel. So thank you, Kristen, for tuning in. And we're so excited to hear from everybody.
Yeah, and we're having so much fun doing this. Maybe this is like a new thing.
We're working on our morning show title.
Our morning show title. title. Stay tuned.
So we've heard from some amazing people, and we're even getting reached out over the Twitter and the Instagram from some of our amazing alumni. And this will segue really nicely into announcing our next Alumnae Special Achiever Award. Speaking of people doing great, amazing things.
Great things.
So the Alumnae Special Achiever Award is bestowed upon an alumna who has achieved particular excellence in her personal or professional life. Given out since 1989, some past recipients of this award include notable York House alumnae such as Margaret Owen Barbeau, Sherry Robson Taylor, culinary arts entrepreneur Leslie Stowe Scott, fashion designer Nicole Bridger, documentary filmmaker Deanne Whelan, and most recently founder and president of Reservoir, a music publishing company, Gulnar Khosrowshahi. So now, drumroll, I get to announce the 2000 Alumnae Special Achiever Award recipient, Saara Bhanji, from the class of 2003.
Congratulations, Saara. And I think we have a little video message.
We do.
Let's see it.
I understand the theme of this year's Alumni Day is STEAM, an exploration. While my talk is not on STEAM, it is very much about exploration of issues that are close to my heart. I still remember the day when I learned that a brave Pakistani young woman was shot by the Taliban for demanding that she and other girls have access to education. She demanded fiercely and boldly that all young girls and women should have access to education, and that education is a fundamental human right. That young woman is Malala Yousafzai, who is now a household name and went on to be the youngest person ever to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. When I think of Malala, I think of what great risks she undertook to ensure that she and other girls had access to the educational opportunities that some of us in the West take for granted. I think about how much courage it must have taken to literally put one's life on the line for the sake of this intrinsic and basic human right. I can think of no better example than York House to illustrate exactly the kind of place where girls are encouraged to achieve their full potential, not only in academics, but in every realm of their lives. I joined York House in grade 6 in Mrs. Addison's 6E class, and while I experienced a few growing pains transitioning from the public school system, my classmates and teachers made me feel so welcomed and made me feel that this is a place where I truly belong. It was at York House where I learned how to think critically about global issues and to question what was going on in the world around me and how I could play a part in alleviating suffering and injustice. York House provided me with an opportunity to participate in the Duke of Edinburgh's awards program, and part of this involved an expedition. I reluctantly agreed to sign up to travel to Peru with a small group of students and teachers, to stay with a homestay family in a small Spanish-speaking town, and to hike the famous Inca Trail. While I was nervous initially, I stepped aboard that plane to Peru with courage, knowing that this would be a life-changing adventure. And I wasn't wrong. When we arrived in Peru, I was blown away by the warmth and hospitality of my host family. I was amazed at their patience and kindness as I fumbled through my rudimentary Spanish and flipped frantically through my Spanish-English dictionary. When I look back and think about my trip to Peru, however, it isn't my host family or the breathtaking views and ancient ruins of the Inca Trail that stick out in my mind. It is the poverty I witnessed firsthand in South America that stands out for me the most. This trip to Peru in grade 11 was the first time I was pushed way outside my comfort zone, and where I first became aware of the poverty and marginalization that people experience on such a widespread scale. In Peru, we volunteered for a day at a care facility for abandoned children. The majority of these children had been left on the streets by families unable to care for them, and these children had various disabilities and complex medical needs. I remember being shocked and saddened by the number of vulnerable children at this facility, crying and being cramped into tight and unsanitary quarters. Most of them had experienced vast neglect and didn't know how to give or receive affection. That trip to Peru with York House was not only eye-opening, but transformative in terms of my life trajectory and mission. That trip prompted a massive reflection and unlearning that truly highlighted for me what I would like to devote the rest of my life to. Unlike Malala, I did not have to fight for my access to education. Yes, I had to take a difficult entrance exam, but my access to education was comparatively easy and seamless. Unlike many young women and girls across the globe, I was not forced to walk in bare feet in the blazing sun for several hours to access the nearest school. I began to realize what an incredible and rare gift it was to have access to the type of education I had, to be able to attend York House, where my parents drove me to school each day, and where I had access to teachers that cared about me, and numerous extracurricular activities that I could participate in. So few girls have this privilege, and while I was never forced to fight for my right to be educated, I was determined to fight for those that couldn't, just like Malala. Malala's work for gender equality inspired me to create AWARE, a grassroots feminist organization that brought together young women from diverse backgrounds to grow and learn together and to share their life experiences and leadership skills. As women, it is imperative that we stick up for each other, that we band together and advocate for each other while overtly challenging the systems that continue to oppress and silence us. Like Malala says, we realize the importance of our voices only when we are silenced. AWARE was thus created for young women to recognize the power of our own voices, both individually and collectively, and to know that even one strong voice can make a world of difference when it comes to dismantling the injustice and oppression that keep girls from achieving their full potential and accessing the full spectrum of their human rights. I remember for my 16th birthday, my parents gifted me a book of poetry by Maya Angelou. An accomplished civil rights activist, I am incredibly inspired by Maya Angelou's writing, and to this day, she continues to be one of my favorite poets. In her renowned poem, Still I Rise, she writes, "You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise." So in closing, my message to all the Yorkies and alumni out there listening, from the youngest to the oldest, is to not be afraid to raise up your voice and rise up to the challenge of speaking out for your generation of women and the generation of women and girls to come. Do not be afraid to interrogate, disrupt, and ultimately dismantle those structures and systems that oppress others on the basis of race, class, culture, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Do not be afraid to question, to critique, and to examine your own privilege, or to ask yourself, how can I do more? Finally, I encourage all of you to remember that poverty and injustice are not phenomena that just happen abroad or someplace far away. Injustice is happening all around us, right here, right now, and in our own backyard. And there is always, always an opportunity to get involved in breaking that cycle. I encourage you to draw parallels between conflict overseas and the opioid crisis happening here in BC, to see the links between child labor in South America and the long-standing colonization and abuse of First Nations land and communities here in Canada. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to use your voices to lift up the voices of others, and to use your voices to inspire and encourage others to be strong enough to speak up for themselves. As Malala described so eloquently, we raise up our voices, not so that we can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back. Remember, as in Malala Yousafzai's example, that all it takes is one voice to create change. All it takes is one brave girl or woman to speak out and rise up. As Maya Angelou so eloquently puts it, just like the moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like the hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Now, more than ever, it is important to rise, 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 and not stop rising. In closing, I would like to thank the York House Alumnae Association for bestowing on me this very prestigious award and for allowing me to share the impact that my time at York House has had on my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Saara, for sharing your impact and the impact that York House has had on your life, and for bringing to us your very insightful thoughts and for sharing your memories and the voice that you shared with us. Really makes such an impact. I had an opportunity to speak to our students who had the pleasure of viewing your video, and they shared with me that they really were inspired. So congratulations to you, Saara, for being our Alumni Special Achiever. You certainly do deserve it.
Agree wholeheartedly, and the Alumni Association is so excited and congratulates you again. And I really appreciated your words of encouragement to the Yorkie community. And I think that we'll take that away with us for a long time, so thank you. Now, I think that we have a few more messages to share from around the community.
Well, I think we have some videos that people have sent in from around the world. So let's take this opportunity to see what you have to say.
Hi everyone, this is Tiffany Choi from class of 2009. I'm currently based in Hong Kong and just want to wish everyone a happy virtual Alumni Day.
Hi, my name is Emma Cheevers. I'm grad 1994 and I'm currently living in London, England. My wish for York House on Alumni Day is that the school keeps its sense of spirit and fun and remembers that nothing gets accomplished without pushing a lot of boundaries.
Hi Yorkies, I hope you're staying safe and healthy wherever you are. I'm Andrea Jang, grad of 2000, and I'm dialing in from New York City to send everyone warm wishes during Alumni Day.
Hi York House, I'm Rebecca, class of 2013, and I'm currently living in the Netherlands. As you can see from the very Dutch surroundings, my bike. Wishing everyone a very happy Alumni Day and hope everyone's happy and healthy.
Hi everyone, my name is Isabella Delgado and I am a grad of the year 2018. I'm currently based in Los Angeles, California, and I just wanted to say I hope you all have a great virtual Alumni Day and you're staying safe and healthy. Bye Yorkies.
Thank you to our alumni who shared these special messages. And interestingly enough, the last message was from Bella Delgado. And we also received a little message from Cindy Delgado, graduate of 1989. And thank you, Cindy, for sending us this message. She shares with us, congratulations on the new STEAM lab. I can't wait to see the amazing creations, explorations, inventions, and businesses whose seeds of inspiration are planted in that room. Go YHS, woo woo. Yes, thank you, Cindy. So proud, she says, so proud of you for stepping into the future. Thank you for sharing that with us. We so appreciate it. So as we wrap up, can you believe it? Yep, time to wrap up our annual Alumni Day. We just want to thank everyone who took this time to join us today. We certainly know that it's not the same as gathering together. We certainly hope to see everybody next year and come together, but I think we had fun. it was a great opportunity to connect with people all over the world.
Agree. I had so much fun, and we got to see people from New Zealand to Ireland, and it was just amazing to really connect with people. I must have waved at the screen 10 or so times.
And you know what? Although we couldn't do this basketball game, I think we have a little special treat.
We do. So as many of you know, normally at Alumni Day, we would wrap up the day with what's become a bit of a tradition around here, our alumni staff basketball game. So we thought we'd put together a little video in the spirit of the game, and there's a special person that might be coming by this one.
Somebody you haven't met yet, our very own special mascot,
Teggy the Tiger.
Teggy the Tiger. Take a look. Joining us for Alumni Day. Mwah! Well, that was certainly a lot of fun. And before we go, we have another message from Angelia Darnbro from 1982, who said to us, I so enjoyed Dr. Bondar. I'm so inspired by her encouragement that we can always continue to grow and explore with our minds, no matter how old we are. I knew that would connect with our alumni.
Absolutely.
Very wise words. And she says, thank you for a very enjoyable Alumni Day, and we thank you. We thank you for joining us. But before we conclude, I certainly want to thank a lot of people who have made this day possible. As you can imagine, there was a lot of planning in putting this day together, and I want to thank our Advancement and Alumni Relations Department, as well as our Communications Department and our Audio-Visual Coordinator for all the hard work that they have put into planning today. We're giving you a big round of applause. They're here behind the scenes, and they've done a fantastic job. We have stuff going on social media as well, so I hope you've kept up to date with everything that's happened. We certainly want to thank all of our speakers who provided such valuable content for everything that we heard today.
Unbelievable. And I think, you know, one of the things that we also want to really thank out there is that in this year, in this pandemic, and in this era of COVID, we just really want to send a special shout out and a thank you to all of our alumni and our YHS community members who are frontline workers and essential workers who are keeping our community safe every day. So our gratitude and thanks to all of you.
We certainly want everybody to stay safe and be healthy. And speaking of essential service workers, on Monday is World Teachers Day, and we'll be celebrating our amazing teachers. And I know that we have alumni who are fantastic teachers out there. So we look forward to saying thank you, because without our amazing teachers, this wouldn't really be possible, right?
It's true.
They're the heartbeat of everything we do. And so we want to celebrate them on Monday, and our Yorkies will as well. So on that final note, you remember that little song that we typically sing at the end of?
I have goosebumps already.
Do you have goosebumps?
I do.
Okay, well, get ready, everybody, and maybe we're going to stand and we're going to sing this song together. So thanks so much for joining us for this historic moment, our first virtual Alumni Day reunion. Thanks, everyone.